Today we'll have a look at 2 user-submitted websites and see some common but perhaps easily overlooked mistakes that can be fixed and that you may be making on your website as well. Hello, I'm Shane from Thrive Themes and this is another website review video. And like I said, this is a 2-for-1 because as I was looking through the submissions, I came across these 2 websites that are in some ways similar and happen to be making some of the same crucial mistakes. So let's jump right into it. This is the first website. It's called Healthy News 24. And let's just have a quick scroll through the homepage. This is the homepage right here. So have a quick scroll through this, gives us an idea of what this site is about. And right off the bat, I think you can say, well, there's nothing obviously wrong here, right? It's basically a blog and it looks okay. There's nothing glaringly problematic here. Let's look at the second candidate, which is Kip Kitchen, and kind of similar. The same thing. This is also the homepage. We're scrolling through the homepage. Quite a similar kind of look. And again, there's nothing like immediately apparent or dramatically wrong here. Now, one thing that's actually a bit more obvious here is that we have a potential conflict here of calls to action. So let's quickly talk about that first, right? We have this bar across the top here where I can sign up for something. We have a very, let's say subtle, this isn't, not a very strongly attention-grabbing opt-in form here, but it's another one where it's like, okay, sign up for something. And then we have this box that slides in here, which again asks us to sign up for something. And that's a bit much. We have a similar problem on the other website. Here, if I go into any one of these posts, for example, what you'll see if I start reading through this post is that I get interrupted by a scroll mat, which first of all isn't very nicely designed. This is, if it's using Thrive Leads, which I think it is, I recommend that you take one of the pre-designed templates and stick much more closely to that, because that's what they're for, right? We hire professional designers to make the designs for you so that if you're not a designer, you can still have a really good looking design. And so this here is an example of, a custom design that just doesn't look very nice. I can get rid of this scroll mat, but then there's another thing here that asks me to sign up. There's another one here that asks me to sign up. This also, the thing at the top conflicts with the share bar, which is behind it, like this. And then I think we have perhaps another one here. We have another one at the bottom of the email. So at the bottom of the content, I should say. So it's basically too much of the same request, right? It's basically too desperately asking me to sign up. And I would recommend that you test some of these against each other. What works better? Should you have the scroll mat? Should you have the ribbon? Should you have something inside the post? Test them against each other and use only the one that works best. One of the reasons this is important is that these kinds of websites, recipe websites, news websites, magazine websites, the point here is that you get a lot of return visitors. You want visitors to come to this website every day, check the latest stories, browse around, and so on. That's how that business model usually works, together with ad impressions, which is how you'll end up making money. Even if that's not your exact business model, generally, like I said, news sites, recipe sites, you want people to come back and you want people to browse around and explore your website. And if you throw too many of these opt-in requests in their faces, they will be less inclined to come back and spend time on this website. But there is a different issue that both of these websites have that I wanted to talk about, which is, and it's not that obvious, but you can see it when we look at the titles, right? We have titles like Kashmiri chicken, a dish full of good health. Top 15 reasons you should start consuming more turmeric and curcumin. This is how your positive attitude interacts your body. There's probably a typo there. It should be with your body. But anyway, we have these kinds of titles. This is what you need to know about saturated fat, how to lose your weight without starving, 16 amazing tips. Let's have a look here. We have baked sweet potato recipes, baked egg with smoked salmon, homemade chocolate souffle, 1-pan Mexican rice. What do these titles have in common? They are what I would call generic titles. This is, especially here, I would say these titles are the absolute minimum needed to describe what's inside the post. Don't forget that the title is like the advertisement for the post. And this is, in a way, you can almost think of it as a little product that you need to advertise. And just like with a product or a service, you want to have a unique selling point. Because I'm sure this is not the only homemade chocolate souffle recipe on the internet. So you have to give me a reason to look at this one specifically. The title doesn't just need to be descriptive. It needs to be interesting. It needs to be perhaps entertaining. It needs to be attention grabbing. It needs to give me a reason to stop in my tracks and click. I think the easiest way I can demonstrate what I mean by generic titles is to just go to our own blog, to the Thrive Themes blog, where we don't use generic titles and kind of to show you the contrast, right? So for example, we just start from the top. This post here is called How Visual Cues on Your Website Might Say More Than Words. A generic version of this title would be Visual Cues in Web Design. Next, how to write engaging newsletters effortlessly. How to write newsletters. Next, 7 hacks to unlock the hidden potential of Thrive Content Builder. 7 content builder tips. All right, can you see what I mean? So here's the one, how to improve a landing page in 3 steps. That's a bit generic. That's a bit lame. This one is deliberately generic. Here, 11 moments scarcity had major psychological influence over events in the past. Scarcity infographic. All right, can you see what I mean? Introducing new, rapidly customizable landing page set. New landing page set. So that's what I mean by we are not using titles that simply describe this is what's inside. We're taking the content of what's inside the post and we're coming up with a title that makes it sound as interesting as possible. We're trying to give a unique angle. We're trying to give a spark of life to the headline. Now, 2 recommendations if you want to be able to do the same thing and you want to be able to write better headlines which will keep people on your website, keep them browsing around and so on. The first is to just practice, right? Practice writing headlines and look at other websites, look at some of your favorite websites, look at how they write headlines. And the second one is to use headline swipe files. So to basically use headline formulas and you kind of, just use formulas or recipes of how to build a good headline. We happen to have that as one of the bonus offers in one of our posts. I'm going to link to that below so you can actually get headline formulas that make it a lot easier to write good headlines. And really that's what most of the pros do as well, is they will actually follow certain formulas of headlines that they know will work. And of course, what's also very useful is if you actually test your headlines to see which one works best. And that's what the Thrive Headline Optimizer plugin is for. A couple of final points here. First of all, on this homepage, there aren't many posts listed here. On a site like this, you want to encourage browsing. I would display more posts in this overview. And also another mistake that both of these websites make is that the homepage is just a blog roll, right? I come to the homepage, it's just the latest blog posts. This may or may not interest me depending on what you published last. I recommend that you replace this with a homepage that is made as a landing page, where you ask yourself, what is the best possible thing I could show a new visitor? What is something I want every new visitor to know? And you put that on your homepage. I will also link to a video with more information about homepages, how to do this, homepages, landing pages, and so on. I'll link to resources about that below. All right, I hope you found this useful. Let me know if there were some tips and ideas in here that you can use on your own website. And of course, if you have any questions, just leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.